Marcus Garvey was not considered dangerous because he was secretive. He was considered dangerous because he was effective. If you came here asking, who was Marcus Garvey and why was he considered so dangerous? The short answer is this: he built a mass movement around black self-reliance, economic independence, and pride at a time when that message threatened the existing racial order. And the reason authorities feared him goes beyond slogans. It comes down to scale, discipline, and what his ideas implied for power. Garvey was born in Jamaica and later traveled through Central America and London before returning to Jamaica in 1914. There, he founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association, or UNIA. That name matters. The UNIA was not just a club or a debate society, it was an organized political and economic project. Garvey told black people to build businesses, control institutions, and stop waiting for permission from systems that had already failed them. That was a direct challenge to colonial thinking. It also made him unusually hard to ignore. Then he moved to Harlem in 1916 and the movement exploded. The UNIA became the largest black mass movement of its era, with members across many countries. That scale is the first clue to why he was seen as dangerous. Leaders are one thing, movements are another. A movement can change buying habits, political loyalties, and public expectations. Garvey was not just speaking to the frustrated, he was organizing them. And when people start organizing around their own economic power, institutions begin to feel the pressure. Here's the key point. Garvey's message was threatening because it reduced dependence. If you tell a marginalized group to build its own businesses, own its own media, and trust its own leadership, you're changing the flow of money and influence. That does not automatically make the message radical in the abstract. But in the early 20th century, under segregation and colonial rule, it was deeply disruptive. To supporters, he was a builder. To opponents, he looked like a man teaching people to stop accepting their assigned place. There was also a political fear attached to him. Garvey's language around black nationhood and repatriation made some officials and rivals read him as a separatist, even when his actual program was broader and more practical than the caricature. That distinction matters. He was not dangerous because he had no ideas. He was dangerous because his ideas were simple enough to spread and strong enough to mobilize. In politics, that combination is often more threatening than ideology alone. But there is a trade-off here. Garvey's movement was powerful, yet it also faced limits. His style was bold, sometimes rigid, and often controversial. Critics questioned his methods, his claims, and his judgment. Still, none of that explains the scale of the reaction by itself. The real answer is more basic. Garvey made black self-determination feel organized, visible, and possible. That is why he mattered. And that is why so many people in power treated him as a threat. So if you want the cleanest answer, it is this. Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican-born organizer who built a global black empowerment movement. And he was considered dangerous because he challenged dependence with mass organization, economic nationalism, and a message of self-rule. In other words, he did not just criticize the system, he gave people a plan to live outside its control.